Hi there, happy hump day and welcome to Wednesday. Today we're talking about expectations. Expectations, we've all got them. They can constrain us, they can box us in, but they can also inspire us. The problem arises when they define how we think, they narrow our field of view, and they change what we do. Expectations also work both ways. Just as people have expectations of us, be it our friends, family, work colleagues, our boss, we also have expectations on the people around us. Interestingly, the expectations we have of those around us can be easily influenced by others. There was research that was conducted many years ago by a psychologist, Robert Rosenthal, and what he was looking at is the impact that expectations have on teachers in terms of how they interact with students and how they treat them, and therefore the corresponding impact to that student's performance. And so what happened in the experiment is teachers were told the names of students that were expected to do well through the year. The challenge though, those names were picked at random. There was no science or logic behind why those names had been picked. What the research found is that the teachers treated those students differently. They were more supportive, they were more friendly, they were more willing to spend time with them and to provide them with feedback. And not surprisingly, because the teachers were more willing to spend more time with them, the performance of those students improved. Expectations, they play out all the time, and we see it in the workforce as well. So if you're in a leadership role, in a role where you hire people, think about the last time you hired someone and what's one of the key things that you did through that process. It's likely that you asked people who knew them, what do you think of that person? How did they go? What do they do well? What didn't they do well? What do I need to be aware of? It sounds like a really logical first step. The problem is, who is giving you that advice? Who is giving you that perspective? Because often the perspective that we're seeking may not help us make a wise decision. Yes, it can seem like a good thing to do, to check, but the problem is, what's the relationship between the person who's giving you that opinion, giving you that piece of advice? Because it can be misplaced in terms of the advice that they're giving you. I frequently found throughout my career that often the advice that I was given about people turned out to not be the right advice. So people that they saw as a poor performer turned out to be an absolute star in my team. The person that they saw as a really high performer, I found to be the contrary. And that's because we each have different relationships with people, and therefore what we bring out in people can be different. And so whilst the advice that you're seeking can be really well-intentioned, and from the person who gives it to you can be well-intentioned, it's important for you to make up your own mind. And so, two things. Firstly, when you are seeking opinions, seeking perspectives, go broad. Get advice, get ideas, get perspectives from a raft of different people, and then suspend judgment for a while. Watch how that person is working, see how they're interacting, particularly if they're already a member of your team, because they're there. See how you can bring out the best in them. What is it that motivates and inspires them to do their best? Because you might just find that you have a star in your team who hasn't yet been discovered. So don't be too quick to judge, too quick to label the people that you see as really good and the people that you see as not so good when you're moving into a new leadership role. Because when you have that more open mind, you're far less likely to be coloured, to have your perspective coloured by the opinions of others. And you're not going to let bias impact your decision making. Now, this can be hard to do because expectations, they're not easy to ditch. But when you do it, when you open your mind, you're going to create the best possible environment for you to build the best possible team. So the question for you to consider, for you to do that, what would you need to shift in your mindset to be able to make that happen? So that's a good question for this week, and I'll see you next week. Take care.